All right, how's everyone doing? I am Rich CELENZA. Thanks for checking out the Rich CELENZA show. So what I want to get into today is being a clean freak holding you back, or I should say, destroying you. So one of the reasons I want to get into this is because my mother's a clean freak. I was just with her last week. I was with her a couple weeks before that, and the week before that, I've been able to spend a lot of time with her, and she loves cleaning. My father as well, huge clean freak, right? I grew up in an environment where everything was, what's that word, meticulous? I hope I'm saying that wrong, or perfect, whatever. And not only did the house have to be clean, the cars have to be spotless. If they have boats, my father has boats. All, and I should say, before I even begin this, I am 100% down with being clean. Especially my body. I'm obsessed with maintaining my body from head to toe. I literally just shave my head, shave my entire upper body. I do that at least once or twice a week because it's like almost exfoliating for me. Shave my face or my 5 o'clock shadow. And, I've always really been obsessed myself, I should say, with cleaning. Very similar to my parents, and I presume that's part of my programming. But I do think sometimes there's a fine line. And I realized this actually in the last 10 years. And when like anyone else, I'm just going to go back a little bit. Is like when you first get married, for instance, and, you buy a bigger home, you start buying more cars, you have children. Because before that point, for me, it was very simple to be clean, especially even if I had roommates. We were all kind of clean freaks. If not, we'd play jokes on each other. So if you left dirty dishes in the dish, anywhere, I would pick them up and put them on your bed. So I was more about maintaining everything and making things very simple to keep clean, right? Even though there was 3, 4, 5, 6 guys usually in my apartment or our apartment at a time. I didn't go to college. I went to a junior college, but my lifestyle definitely was, it was more nightclub, and guys, all of us were kind of New Yorkers, not a lot of Chicago guys, mainly Florida guys and New York guys. And a lot of my friends from Chicago would also be coming in. So it was kind of our own frat, I guess you could say. So so back to being married and things, I wanted to keep, everything spotless, especially for one of my daughters that was born with an illness. So I had to definitely make sure, she takes meds, she had a transplant, and we had to make sure everything was spotless because her immune system was lowered. For years, even though I was a clean freak, I also had cleaning ladies. But the house usually was so clean, they would even say, Rich, we don't have to come here every week. And I'd be like, no, come do this, that. And again, just wanting to make sure everything was spotless. And then I found myself even, becoming, and I think I should say this with my father. I lived with him for a short stint in Florida. And he lived in a big, beautiful home with boats, a lot of cars, sports cars, collector cars. And, he did an unbelievable landscaping job. It was like a mini estate that we first created. And at the beginning, it was small. Like, you're planting all these different palm trees, bushes, plants. What starts off small ended up huge. So it kind of started off, even for both of us as a hobby, besides cutting the lawn, became literally a part-time job, if not more, maintaining this property. And I think that's one of the things, it's not his fault, that exhausted me from living there. I felt like besides working all week, then we're doing that. And believe me, I enjoyed living there. But once I left there, again, I was with the guys with the frat, our frat house, or whatever you call it, an Italian frat house is what I should say. Then when I was married, I found myself kind of doing what my father did, but not with exterior landscaping, kind of interior. We're kind of always buying more and more furniture, buying a big home, a lot of bedrooms, or just trying to keep something clean constantly that I realized was taking not only so much time, but taking a toll on me as well. And also taking away, other things I wanted to do. That's just the bottom line. So, I kept up with this, though. I couldn't stop doing this. I could not stop always cleaning. They used to goof around and say, Rich, even my kids goof around and say, when you were younger, what we remember about you is a big guy, never has a shirt on, always sweeping up, always changing kitty litter, always cleaning the bedroom, like always cleaning. And I would laugh. But then I realized, what the hell is wrong with me? Is what, like, a lot of people I think fall in this category, and I kind of look at it as the opposite of, say, a hoarder. I know hoarders. I've only seen the television show, but I personally know a lot of hoarders. Not to maybe the level that the show's at, but I've seen throughout my life people collecting a lot of things, spending a lot of time looking for things, which if that's your hobby, fine, buying things, bringing it to the house or your place of business, and before you know it, it becomes overwhelming. Now, on the flip side, somebody who's always cleaning is kind of doing, spending all their time. Instead of finding things maybe and bringing them back, you're constantly cleaning, trying to maintain what you have. And I'm just going to say, like, a lot of times, I don't even think people realize if you're a clean freak, which is wonderful if it works for you. But if, say, you spend per day, I don't know, half an hour to an hour. Let's just take a guesstimate. I'd say it's more like an hour if you're kind of a clean freak, because if you look at what you're maintaining a lot of times in your home, in your car, in your workplace, whatever you're doing, especially if you have kids, you're cleaning, especially weekends. Let's call it for what it is. That goes for interior, exterior of your house, whatever the hell you got. A lot of times you just don't realize how much you're cleaning. Look at the end of the month, how many hours that is. I mean, if you're at an hour a day, which most people I'd say are over that, especially if you throw in the weekend, it's 40 extra hours. Now, I'm not telling you to be dirty, and I'm not telling you to neglect anything. But I do think you have to take an honest approach and say, what am I really getting out of all this? Because again, I don't see a lot of times by always being obsessed with cleaning what we're really getting out of that. I know we want to look a certain way. I know we're doing it for health reasons. But there is a fine line. Because a lot of times you can take that extra time to do things you love to do or take on things you've always wanted to take on. And a lot of people don't know this. So, let me get some water. I'll give you another, for example. I remember when I, a few years ago, 6, 7 years ago, I moved back to Florida. I moved in with my girlfriend. She always had large homes that she always maintained with her kids. And for a short stint, she was living in an apartment because her kids wanted to finish up high school. And then after high school, they ended up moving back with us to Orlando. And we got a beautiful 2-bedroom apartment and would have lake view, and it was gorgeous. Very simple. We didn't have to take care of anything except the interior. Landscaping was done. Everything was set. And I traveled for the last 10 years, roughly. And I went from one extreme of cleaning all the time to never cleaning anything because I was on the road like 200 to 220 days a year. But a lot of that was coming back to Florida and seeing my kids and staying in hotels. But I was living a hotel lifestyle. I never even had to make my bed necessarily because I was going from place to place and just on the go. My job was about getting things accomplished on the road, not having to clean up literally anything, not even my rental car, except with the exception of myself and keeping sure my clothes were perfect and things in that nature. My girlfriend traveled as well. So when I got back into the apartment, I mean, it was like for me starting all over again, saying, oh my God, I forgot. I got to help clean a bathroom. There's a couple don't forget, you got to vacuum. You have all these things you kind of have to do because even when I was traveling, I was living with my cousin in California who lives in a beautiful home in San Diego, and I would try to help him as much as I can. And I learned a lot with him because him and his wife are just they're geniuses at like minimizing things where they truly, I think, enjoy the life they lead. And it's not about possessions, and it's not always about cleaning. It's not always about doing all these things. It's about simplifying their life. So I kind of really learned that from them, and I took that with me to Florida. And then my girlfriend going there, she was shocked at how much extra time she had. And she loves cleaning as well. But she said, just on her weekends in most of the homes that she lived in, all weekend she would spend cleaning. And she would travel a lot during the week, but besides catching up with laundry, doing the interior, the exterior, I don't know if she was gardening, but I don't care if it's cutting the lawns or again, cleaning all the bathrooms, cleaning the rooms, vacuuming, washing the floors, all these things, cleaning the windows. She said, I forgot what she said one time. She said she can clean our apartment, the entire thing in like an hour or two, right? So what was interesting, she said, I have to take on other hobbies. I didn't realize how much time I was spending on my off time doing something, one, that exhausted her and took so much time out of her life. Excuse me. So that's one of the reason I bring this up is I think a lot of people don't realize, especially that are clean freaks, how much time it's taking out of their life. And there is a balance. There really is a balance. And I've even tried working on this lately with my mother. I'm doing an Italian cookbook with her, and I was with her, and it was funny because instead of her place is immaculate, and she gets scared because I posted on Facebook, like she had recipes all over the table, on the floor, on the couch, and she's not used to, I think to a certain degree, that disarray. And I said, Ma, she's getting something done besides just cleaning. Sometimes we even make up things to clean, I think a lot of times, or we always feel like everything's filthy or everything's dirty if it's not a certain way. Everything's unorganized. It's daunting. I get you want to make everything, again, sistemad, which is like an Italian word for organized, and the right way, of course. But sometimes, if you have an extra load of laundry and something comes up that you want to do, or an idea, I don't care if you want to create a podcast, I don't care if you want to write a book, I don't care if you just want to read, it can sometimes wait. I've done a thing too because I was always ironing my clothes. So now I just take a lot of my clothes that need to be ironed and I put them in a spot, and at the end of the week I iron them. I don't spend all the time going and getting the ironing board, getting the iron, pulling everything out, doing it every single day or every day before I go do something. I'm like, how do I condense this? How do I just save time? And I think I am going to wrap it up with this, because I think a lot of young people get caught up with this is, not being able to, it's not, I should say they're not dirty. They're just not organized. And especially with clothes, I should say, since I brought it up, is, a lot of people keep buying more and more clothes, and then they don't wash those clothes, and before you know it, they have more and more laundry, right? They also destroy a lot of their clothes because they're not maintaining them. If you minimize things, again, and that doesn't mean you have to wear the same clothes over and over again, but if you get, the right amount of clothes that you can have washed per week, that you can maintain, same with your dress clothes, same with even figuring out a way. Now, if you love washing your car like me, I like going through the car wash, then I like keeping it spotless. But again, I realized I was doing it too much. Half the time I wasn't even driving my car. It was almost kind of like a hobby, but it was taking an extra, say, hour or 2 hours out of my day. People would be like, what are you going to wash? I'm like, oh, no, I want to keep the car clean. And I'm like, what am I doing? But these are the things, back to the clothes, I should say. I got a little distracted there. Getting your clothes, because when I was younger, even in my later teens, when I moved to Florida, I didn't want to bother my stepmother, who I should say is very clean as well. My stepmother is very clean. I didn't want to bother her with my laundry. She already had her own kids, my father, right? But I had it very specific where whatever I wore, I would bring to a laundromat and they would clean it for me, and then they would dry clean my other clothes. So I didn't have clothes laying around all day. I'd come back, they'd fold them, put them on hangers, and set them up. I'm done. And it was also about maintaining things, again, where I don't let things get dirty, if that makes sense. If I'm done with something, I put it away and I wipe after myself. A bathroom, a lot of times you'd be shocked. You can maintain a bathroom very easily, but people just let it go to shit. Why, I have no idea. But, if you, again, are thinking about, like, what I'm saying, just in general, all I'm trying to do is minimize things. It could be as simple as having too many pillows on your bed. It could be as simple as, just like I said, just having all types of things when you're done with it laying around, which is going to just keep accumulating into more work where you kind of also resent cleaning. But it doesn't have to be that bad. I'm just telling you. So I'm going to wrap it up there. I went a little long-winded on this one, but, if you have any questions, I'm telling you, like, I'm trying to teach men mainly how to live incredible lives affordably and minimize to a certain degree. The more sometimes you minimize, the more clear your mind is. And the more, again, you have the opportunity to do a lot of things you want to do. And I really believe, especially from somebody who's a clean freak or somebody that lets things, like they're cluttered, not only in their home, at the workplace, all these things, simplify it. What is going to make this easier to maintain? More does not always lead to happiness, I can assure you, because more, I describe it all the time, means more maintenance, more work, more aggravation. That's the same with cleaning. If you keep buying things or something that needs a lot of attention, that always needs to be cleaned or always maintained and all these different things. Again, it could be a boat, right? It could be a motorcycle. I don't give a shit what it is. Think about that. And I will officially wrap it up with this. This is what I learned about myself with my cousin again in San Diego. He hung around with a lot of different guys, and so did I there, that were involved in fitness. We even worked out at the same gym. I actually worked out at like 3 gyms when I was there. I was crazy. I worked out at like a 24-hour LA and then this Crunch Fitness, which I loved all of them. And I liked all the people in them. So to make a long story short, some of them did Tough Mudders. In San Diego, they do a lot of that type of shit, you know. And a guy, I was with my cousin, and he said, hey, my cousin was going to do the Tough Mudder with him, and he asked me if I would do it with him as well. And my cousin kind of said, listen, my cousin doesn't do anything that allows him to get dirty. And actually, at first, I was kind of embarrassed. But then I thought about it and said, yes, that's kind of true. I despise getting dirty, and I related it to, I think in Chicago, getting dirty or getting wet, and then it's cold. It was totally different because I remember living in Florida and doing some sports and saying, what a different element. I didn't mind getting as dirty. But I will say this, if you are a clean freak and you want to start experimenting and doing things that limit you, it could be hiking, it could be camping, it could be anything that you kind of like, that's dirty, it sounds filthy. It may sound that way, but maybe if you do really still want to do it, go consider it. Just kind of break free from this a little bit because it's hard at times to kind of change your identity. And again, that doesn't mean you go from spotless to filthy. But sometimes being obsessed with being clean, and I'm one of these dudes, limits a lot of people, like I said earlier. Don't let it limit you. All right? I'm going to wrap it up there. If you get a chance, just check out my website, richcholenza.com. Take care.